Last Saturday, Australians headed to the polls to elect the 48th Parliament, following Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's decision to call an election early. The results defied expectations, delivering a decisive victory for Labor, which remarkably expanded on its majority, despite being only a first-term government. At the time of writing, Labor secured 91 seats, a substantial increase from the 76 they previously held. Conversely, the coalition faced a significant setback, losing up to 12 seats, sharply contrasting opinion polls and betting markets, which had predicted a tighter race. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the 2025 Australian federal election. Just days before the election, opinion polls indicated a narrow contest. Labor consistently led by just 2 to 5 points, suggesting a potential Labor minority government, or even the slim possibility of a coalition upset. Market predictions reflected similar uncertainty, with election analysts speculating that the coalition would recover marginal seats previously lost to Labor until independence. Analysts also cited the Albanese government's handling of pressing national issues, such as the cost of living, the housing crisis, and the recent defeat of the Voice to Parliament referendum, as potential vulnerabilities that the coalition could exploit. Despite these predictions, election night unfolded very differently. Labor defied historical trends by becoming the first Australian government since World War II to experience a swing towards it in a first-term election. Early results on election night showed substantial swings to Labor, particularly in suburban areas and traditional Labor heartlands, while the coalition failed to regain lost ground. Labor reclaimed seats they had previously lost in 2019 and 2022, solidifying their hold and further expanding their parliamentary majority. Arguably, the most significant story emerging from this election was the coalition's dramatic underperformance. Analysts criticised the Liberal Party's campaign for lacking clarity, consistency, and compelling alternatives to Labor. The coalition repeatedly backflipped on key policies throughout the campaign, further eroding voter trust. Adding to the chaos, they released their economic costings just 2 days before the election, reinforcing perceptions of internal disorganisation and factionalism. Leadership instability was also another crucial factor, eventually culminating in Peter Dutton losing his seat shortly after the election results were announced. And as of now, the party seeks new direction and stability through leadership elections. But regardless, the coalition particularly failed to connect with millennial and Gen Z voters, demographics whose electoral influence significantly increased by 2025, as baby boomers aged out of the voter roll. Younger voters expressed dissatisfaction with the coalition's perceived outdated stances on critical issues such as housing, climate change, and education, as well as healthcare. In comparison, Labor capitalised on this successfully, appealing to younger voters with targeted policies, notably the substantial 20% reduction in HECS debt. Additionally, the election witnessed what analysts have dubbed the Trump factor, or the Trump effect, reflecting voter aversion to perceived radical and confrontational politics, exemplified by US President Donald Trump. Throughout the campaign, coalition rhetoric was increasingly criticised as aggressive, divisive, and reminiscent of populist narratives, similar to Trump's style. The electorate, fatigued by global political tensions and polarising debates, appeared to reject this approach decisively, instead favouring the stability and comparatively low-drama governance of Anthony Albanese's administration. Labor's steady leadership contrasted sharply with the coalition's internal turmoil and perceived obstructionism, further solidifying Albanese's image as a pragmatic, unifying figure. Voters appeared to reward Labor's clear communication on pressing economic issues like wage growth, cost of living measures, and healthcare improvements. Labor successfully positioned itself as a competent, effective government, resonating strongly with an electorate weary of political instability and aggressive rhetoric. Preferential voting was another critical element contributing to Labor's landslide. Increasingly, the coalition initially led in primary votes in several key electorates, but Labor surged dramatically during preference distributions, especially from the Greens and Climate 200-backed candidates and independents. The coalition's inability to secure adequate preference flows severely limited their electoral prospects, illustrating both strategic and ideological shortcomings within their campaign strategy. One of the most striking electoral outcomes beyond the major parties was the drastic reduction of the parliamentary crossbench. The Greens in particular suffered significant losses, effectively being ousted from the lower house. While the Greens and Teal independents initially appeared poised to hold their ground, Labor's targeted campaigning and voter dissatisfaction with frustrated representation meant that traditionally Green or independent-leaning electorates swung decisively to Labor. This consolidation significantly altered the parliamentary landscape, leaving Labor with a substantial governing mandate and reducing parliamentary fragmentation. The Greens' ouster represented a broader shift in voter preferences, demonstrating a desire for stable majority governance, rather than fragmented coalitions or minority governments. Labor's strategy effectively minimised the Greens' electoral footprint, absorbing votes from younger and environmentally conscious voters through ambitious climate and housing policies. In summary, the 2025 Australian federal election resulted in a remarkable and historic victory for Labor, largely due to effective campaigning, clear policy communication, and voter rejection of coalition instability. Peter Dutton's departure from leadership signifies a turning point for the coalition, necessitating deep reflection and structural changes if they aim to recover lost political ground. For Labor, the electoral outcome offers both opportunity and significant responsibility. With a commanding parliamentary majority, expectations for meaningful policy implementation, especially on cost of living, healthcare, education, and climate change, are extraordinarily high. Meanwhile, the coalition faces the daunting task of rebuilding its identity, reconnecting with disaffected voters, and distancing itself from damaging legacy of internal conflict and unclear policy messaging. The near complete disappearance of the crossbench and the Greens' exit from the lower house underscores voters' demand for cohesive and effective governance, marking a potential new era of streamlined political debate and policy making in Australian politics. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed this content, and if you want to support us, consider subscribing and ringing the bell to keep in loop with the latest news content from the world and around Australia. I'm also pleased to announce the release of our 7th edition of the Snapshots newsletter. This edition highlights significant global headlines from the world and around Australia. You can access for free in the link down below. And lastly, I'd like to thank our regular supporters and the team for making this video possible. Your support is crucial, and if you'd like to help, consider buying us a coffee, purchasing our merchandise, or joining our new Patreon page we've just launched. Once again, I'm Heath Clark. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.